that is just beautiful. And for this last Sunday in May, it truly is still part of this, our purple, our power. And we're going to look at how we're going to use that power by living from the inside out. Now, I don't know about you, but I've discovered that usually when I'm feeling some chaos or some struggle or some strife, it's happening inside me. And also, when I experience awakening or bliss or joy, I experience it inside me. And so I'm proposing that it might work better for us if we live from the inside out, because it's quite possible it's an inside job. And I'm going to start with this wonderful wisdom from Robert Pruff. He's a speaker and an author. Suffering is primarily an inside job, which means the ending, it comes from within as well. When your mind is still, all is well. Once you stop creating stories, suffering stops. In other words, suffering resides in your mind. So when you quiet your mind, the suffering ceases. I so appreciate this because there was a time in my life that I thought all of my suffering was because of my parents or from the teachers or from my older brother or from everything out there. But as I've matured, I've come to find out that my reaction to the outside world is really the stories I make up inside me. And within that, I can choose how I'm going to look at something, which means I could respond to something different than how I've done in the past. And this is really the power of working our lives from the inside out. I also love the Dalai Lama. Now, the Dalai Lama is someone who has certainly shown the world how to operate life from compassion as a leader of a people who can't even be in their homeland. And he says here, if a person's basic state of mind is serene and calm, then it is possible for this inner peace to overwhelm a painful physical experience. On the other hand, if someone is suffering from depression, anxiety, or any form of emotional distress, then even if he or she happens to be enjoying physical comforts, he will not really be able to experience the happiness that these could bring. So the key to our happiness, the key to having some serenity or calm no matter what's going on, like this global pandemic, is giving us many opportunities to see how centered are we. And as soon as I find I am off-centered, then I experience hopelessness, I experience doubt and panic. I don't know about you, but during this COVID experience, I've had many experiences where I've not known what next to do. And when I stop and I center in and begin to approach my life working first from that knowing of strength, affirming the truth that God's always present, then within that I can deal with anything. And then I can have a centered experience and then approach the challenges. Wearing the mask, where to go. Do I go outside? Do I not go outside? And this serenity can be ours all the time if we choose it. And it has to come from that choice. Because we're having a human experience as a spiritual being. And we have both and of those experiences. And as we connect on the inside with our spiritual nature, our Christ consciousness, our divine essence, therein lies our ability to stop, meditate, pray, bless our experience. There's always something we can be grateful for. We can be grateful there's a roof over our head. We can be grateful for the health that we do have, the strength that we have. And then we can allow ourselves to choose what thoughts we're going to entertain. Which leads me to this wonderful quote from the compassionate Buddha. To enjoy good health, to bring true happiness to one's family, to bring peace to all, one must first discipline and control one's own mind. If a man can control his mind, he can find the way to enlightenment, and all wisdom and virtue will naturally come to him. So it really comes to us to take control of the thoughts that we think. Now, this is not new to us. We did this over the Lenten season. We've been practicing it with the no complaint bracelet of not judging, not criticizing, not complaining, and seeing how often do we spend part of our thinking on pain, disillusionment, judgment, criticism. And how much do we spend it on wholeness, on peace, on unconditional love, on compassion, on forgiveness? And it's practicing that meditation, practicing that prayer that gives us a little moment where we can choose just before we respond or react to anything. And that's the control that we can have on our mind. It's really quite simple, but it's not easy. And it's simple because it simply is an inside job. We can do it. No one else can do it for us, and we can't do it for anyone else. Just try to do the thinking for your kids. It never works. So come to the center. Be attentive to what is true for you, and then we can consciously choose where we're going to focus our thinking. It's a powerful practice, and we've been doing it for quite a long time, and I hope you found the fruits from not complaining, not judging, not criticizing. My next quote comes from Marcus Aurelius. He says, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." This is why it's so simple, that all we need do is remain in harmony with ourselves. This is a practice of self-love. This is a practice of being harmonious with our family, with our co-workers, with our community, with our world. And then when we're in harmony, when we're at peace, when we're practicing forgiveness, when we're a loving presence, then lo and behold, our world, our community, our universe has a loving presence. You. And it all is a practice of living from the inside out. Making a choice of starting here first before we say anything. And from that we can process, what are we thinking? What are we spending time thinking about? Carl Jung, great psychologist, he says here, even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness. The word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. It is far better to take things as they come with patience and equanimity. So we live in a world where shadow gives 3 dimension, where our experience, we can discern what's happening based on what is true. And we know that when we're completely overwhelmed by the world, all we need do is stop and turn on that inner light. For it doesn't matter how dark the cave is, if you light the light, it's no longer totally dark. And this is how we can be a light in the world, a world where there is darkness and light. We have day and night. There is happy and sadness. There is love and hate. And the directive here is that we get to turn on the love wherever there is hate. We get to turn on the light wherever there's darkness. And we can bring the joy where there's sadness. Because we know that when we feel sadness, we don't feel it for the rest of our life. Because every feeling felt to completion returns us to our essence. And this is great wisdom from Dr. Jung. Dale Carnegie, great author and speaker. It isn't what you have or who you are, where you are, or what you are doing that makes you happy or unhappy. It is what you think about. Wow! Dale brings it to a head here. It really is an inside job. What are you thinking? And since we have so many thoughts a day, what thoughts do you choose to entertain? It's very powerful. And this wisdom is not new. This isn't new thought. This is what has been true for all millennia of being a human being. What do you entertain in thought? And it's an inside job because no one else is doing your thinking for you. And if you're not at peace, what thoughts would give you peace? If you're not happy, what thoughts would make you happy? Harold Sherman was a New Thought lecturer, wrote many books, and brought his wisdom to many, many people. When you are in harmony with God consciousness within you, you are in heaven. When your mind and your heart and your soul are filled with love for others and for God, you are in heaven. Now, our master teacher said the kingdom of heaven is within you. That's the teaching. Heaven is right here within us. And it comes from us of being in harmony with our innate divinity, our God consciousness that's in the presence of all of us. There's no place where God is not. And when we align our mind, our heart, and our soul with love for God and for all others, then we experience heaven. Now, what's your definition of heaven? Do you want to experience heaven today? Then I'd say it's an inside job. It's living from the inside out. And our own unity minister and great author of effectual prayer, Francis Folk, says heaven is within, a place where we enter through thought. It's our very thinking that directs us either to heaven or our inside hell. And I know for a fact that I can choose to experience hell because I experience it with my anger, with my fear, with my doubt, my lack. And I experience that. I'm human. But I also know what I can do to stop, accept what is, forgive myself and others, and come back to thinking thoughts of unconditional love. Because I can love everything. I don't have to appreciate or like what it is, but I can love it anyway. And therein lies my ability to love in heaven, even if I don't approve of something. Eleanor MacDonald, a Unity minister, wrote a wonderful book, Your Greatest Power. Truly, heaven is to see creation as the Creator sees it. This is really powerful because when we can see through the eyes of God, since we're made in the image and likeness of God, and God is everywhere present in our life, then our outpicturing of being the hands and feet of God, we have the eyes of God, and we begin to see, I wonder how God looks at this situation. And when we can begin to see with the vision of the Creator, then we can begin to live our life. What would Jesus do here? What would Buddha do here? What would Krishna do here? And when we can look through the eyes of the Creator and creation, then we can experience love, peace, and serenity beyond anything that we've ever experienced. Because that's our awakening. And that's our ability to experience love no matter what. My last slide is from the wisdom of Stephen James, who's a current teacher and blogger of great wisdom and truth. He says, self-love is the key to happiness. The best way to honor yourself is by listening to what it needs. What it needs. This is where the power of a morning ritual comes into play. It is one of the secrets to success of some of the happiest people in the world. So, a ritual that we can adopt for ourselves, a practice of self-love that can be one of self-forgiveness, honoring our own process for meditation, for prayer, for attending to what are we thinking. We may choose to practice the no complaint practice regardless of whether we're using the bracelet or not. We can adopt a practice of choosing love the way we know the Creator loves. An unconditional love towards the people we encounter. It makes it a lot easier for us to work in the world, to live in the world, because we're operating from our own heaven. Living from the inside out may not always be the easiest choice, but it's the most powerful choice if we want to have more serenity, more peace, and have our strength coming always from our center. And there's no better way to bring this wisdom to us than to take this time now to go into meditation. And we allow the Unity Singers to bring us there as we settle into this now moment, breathing easy.
Be still, go deep. What you sow is what you reap. Be here now, for one is known where life's fountain always flows. Be still, be still, be still, and know. Be still, be still. Be still and know. Om Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Ganapatiye Namaha. Be still. Be still, be still,
And as we take this moment in stillness, we take what we've received, anything that was an aha from today's message, and we affirm it as truth for ourselves now, in thought and deed. We can always turn into this inside place, turning to our center. Whether that's our heart or solar plexus, turning within, we can identify what do we resonate with. It's also where we listen to guidance and intuition. Our Christ consciousness always informs us. And so let's take a moment now where we be here now in the silence. It is here we can always return to discern our truth, to affirm our strength, our core, and our peace. And therein lies our living. And we are truly grateful. So let's bring ourselves from this time in meditation. We might wiggle our fingers, wiggle our toes, roll our head. And when we're ready, we open our eyes and we affirm a truth that's related to the message today together.
Centered in truth, I am safe and free.
And that is so true.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.